Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Today, lawmakers watched the video the Trump administration doesn't want you to see. Back in September, they released this video of a drone strike extrajudicially killing what the Defense Department says are drug traffickers, though we have to note that we have zero independent confirmation that they in fact were. We now know the video they released on social media was not the full video, because it turns out that 2 men survived that attack that you're seeing there, an attack that killed others. So, in what seems to be a blatant violation of the laws of war, they were struck again, the shipwrecked men, 3 more times. They ended up dying. Today, members of Congress were able to watch the full video, not just the first strike. Democratic Congressman Adam Smith, the ranking member of the Armed Services Committee, spoke to the New Republic about what he saw. Quote, Smith said the video shows 2 men sitting without shirts atop a portion of a capsized boat that was still above water. That portion, Smith said, could barely have fit 4 people. It looks like 2 classically shipwrecked people, Smith said, but in the briefing, lawmakers were told it was judged these 2 people were capable of returning to the fight, Smith added. He called it a highly questionable decision that these 2 people on that obviously incapacitated vessel were still in any kind of fight. Congressman Smith is going to join me in just a moment, but several other Democrats who viewed the footage shared his concerns.
What I saw in that room was one of the most troubling things I've seen in my time in public service. You have 2 individuals in clear distress, without any means of locomotion, with a destroyed vessel, who were killed by the United States. Any American who sees the video that I saw will see the United States military attacking shipwrecked sailors. Bad guys, but attacking shipwrecked sailors.
Video was very disturbing, and I think Congress needs to see it. I'm going to say what the video was very troubling, and I think more people need to see it. But I want to better understand process, justification.
For their part, Donald Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth insist they did nothing wrong. They said they were targeting so-called narco-terrorists, and they're passing the buck to Navy Admiral Frank Bradley. Hegseth says Bradley was the one who ordered the second strike and that the, quote, fog of war prevented him from even seeing the survivors. So Bradley was the one briefing lawmakers on that video today. It's clear this White House wants him to take the fall for this catastrophe. But lawmakers are not going to let Hegseth off the hook quite so easily. At least it doesn't seem so right now. Republican Senator Thom Tillis of North Carolina, a man who is no longer going to run for re-election, crucially, said the buck has to stop with the Secretary of Defense. And in fact, just about an hour ago, guess what? U.S. Southern Command announced another boat strike at Hegseth's direction, this one also with video, though we don't know if it's the complete video, and we don't know a whole lot of who was on that boat and why they were killed. I think it's fair to say the situation has the potential to overwhelm this defense secretary. The screws are starting to turn. Keep in mind, he is also dealing with a separate controversy today, Signalgate. Remember, back in March, Pete Hegseth was caught using a private signal chat from his private phone, non-classified communication channels, to share obviously sensitive military plans for an imminent operation in Yemen, including the phrase, quote, all caps, this is when the first bombs will definitely drop. We know this because somebody on that signal chat accidentally just looped a journalist in on the entire text chain. There was reportedly another text chain that included Pete Hegseth's wife. It was an operational security nightmare. Today, we got a full Inspector General report confirming as much. According to the report, Hegseth used a signal, quote, risk potential compromise of sensitive DoD information, which could cause harm to DoD personnel and mission objectives. For their part, the Pentagon is calling the report a total exoneration of Secretary Hegseth. You've, of course, heard that phrase used by Trump before. Democratic Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona isn't buying it.
He's totally exonerated Hegseth.
Yeah, I saw he said that.
What do you make of that?
Of course he would say that. This is the same guy who, you know, with these boat strikes, he's like, I'm not in the room. I was down the hall at the bathroom. I don't know where he said he was.
Pete Hegseth has been a complete disaster, but this was obvious from the jump that he would be. I mean, he's the most ludicrously, manifestly unqualified nominee that anyone of my generation, my age, has covered by far. I think possibly ever, but I can't say. Remember, Pete Hegseth barely, by the skin of his teeth, made it through the confirmation process. Vice President J.D. Vance had to break a tie to get him over the finish line. And the reason that he lost Republican votes and didn't get a single Democratic one is because there were a lot of justifiable concerns about this guy's fitness. First and foremost, it was pretty clear from lots of reporting that many people who'd worked with Hegseth or were in his orbit believed he had a significant drinking problem. Hegseth denies it. Hegseth pledged, though, to stop drinking after taking control of the Pentagon. And you might ask, has he? That's a good question. Who knows? There's also the issue of the misconduct allegations, which were considerable. Hegseth's own mother called him an abuser of women, a claim she eventually retracted after it became public. He also paid $50,000 to a woman who says he sexually assaulted her at a conservative conference in 2017. According to the police report that she filed, he physically blocked the woman from leaving her hotel room, took her phone, and then assaulted her, all while her husband and children were staying in the same hotel. Hegseth denies doing anything wrong. He said it was a consensual affair and called the settlement a nuisance suit. So here we are. That guy runs the Department of Defense. He's sharing highly sensitive information in group chats with reporters and his wife and who knows who else, and ordering the killing of shipwrecked people in the high seas. Congressman Adam Smith is a Democrat of Washington. He's the ranking member of the Armed Services Committee. He watched that full video of the strike today, and he joins me now. Congressman, thank you for making time with us. I guess we quoted some of your impression of it. I wonder if you can just characterize for our audience that hasn't been able to see the video what you saw and what your reaction was to it.
Sure. I mean, first of all, we need to be clear. There was no fog of war. They had a clear vision of these two people on top of what was left of their capsized boat for quite a while. I think it was somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour after the initial strike. So they could see clearly what was going on. First. Second, I saw Senator Cotton say that the two gentlemen were trying to turn their boat back up, I guess. That is patently ridiculous. That boat wasn't going anywhere. And by the way, that's not the justification that Admiral Bradley even offered. So it's two people sitting on a tiny little portion of a boat sticking out of the water that's capsized. Now, the justification for this was that it was possible that the cocaine was still, I guess, underneath that small portion of the boat that remained, and these two people were not completely disabled. I mean, they were in the middle of an ocean sitting on, a capsized boat. So conceivably, they could, quote, get back into the fight. I mean, that's really, really questionable in those circumstances, but it also underpins the entire problem with this mission. What is the fight exactly that these two were going to get back into? Yes, drugs are a major problem in the U.S., but these people were trafficking cocaine thousands of miles from the U.S. with drugs that may or may not even have been headed to the United States. So, yeah, the video is really troubling. And if people see it, I don't think it's going to be good for Secretary Hegseth or this administration.
Do you think people should see it?
Yes, 100%. There's nothing classified about this. Nothing at all. Also, should be nothing classified about the Office of Legal Counsel memo that lays out the very, very highly debatable legal justification for doing these strikes in the first place. So that, too, should be public, and we should have a public hearing. Secretary Hegseth should come before our committee and the American people, explain what he's doing, and justify it. Because this is I don't think it's justifiable. I think we need more public exposure on that.
There has been some conflicting reporting about the timeline here. Initial reporting from the Washington Post indicated that it was a matter of minutes in which whoever had eyes on this could see that there were these two individuals who were shipwrecked. I read another report, I believe in the Wall Street Journal, that said it was an hour. Could you tell from timestamps or the video you saw what the timeline was like?
It was closer to an hour. And that's another thing that's interesting about this. From the moment this broke, and we wouldn't be having this conversation if it wasn't for the Washington Post. Because even though they publish all of the videos of all of the strikes, they didn't release the video of this strike. And I don't think that was an accident. So since that time, remember, first of all, Secretary Haig said fake news didn't happen, never happened. And then he said, well, it happened, but that guy did it. And then it was the fog of war. No one could see it. None of that turned out to be true.